We go wherever the wind blows, and the wind smells like rain. We, as unfeeling film critics, burn ourselves with lit matches just to feel something. Existence is pain and suffering. But you can help bring color to our lives by visiting patreon.com/PossessCastProductions. For less than the cost of a Rubik's Cube, this odd artifact of another dimension, you can support our show. Early access, bonus episodes, and exclusive shows just for you. Helps you get through every nihilistic day. Again, that's patreon.com/PossessCastProductions. Enjoy the show, you hard-boiled turtle slapper.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can, and spins a web of any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, there goes a Spider-Man.
Okay, let's do this one more time. Welcome to the After Credits Cast, the one and only film podcast to traverse the multiverse and come back just fine. No glitching here. I'm your host, Uncle Aaron, and I am joined by my co-host, Ryan Morales.
Hey. I did the shoulder touch to my desk. That's how committed I am to this.
I appreciate that bullshit. It's great. I tried doing the shoulder touch to my wife and, didn't get any good results.
I just get a weird look like, what's wrong with you?
If you want to join us in our various multiverse shenanigans, you can join us on all sorts of different universe platforms. I don't know where that metaphor is going. Patreon, YouTube, Peepa, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podcast Addict. Obviously, the Patreon one is the one you want to go to, because that helps pay the bills. But if you can't do that, and you want to message us directly, you can go to Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook. We love hearing back from you guys on how we're doing, and want to have a conversation. Tell us what your favorite movies are, including this one, which I'm hoping it is this one, because this is good. Good one. Ryan, if they want to email us directly and tell us how good they think this movie or any other movie is, where can they email that to?
They can email us at It's a Leap of Faith. Excuse me. That's evacstation@gmail.com.
Good stuff. So let's just jump right on in, because, it's going to be a long one, probably, if we don't. It's another web of intrigue as we step into Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, released in 2018. Was it really 2018? Yeah.
Good God, that was 2 years ago.
It feels like
a year and a half.
I feel like it's forever ago, but I don't know. Directed by, and this is a good name I don't know if I can say, Bob Persinetti, Peter Ramsey, and Rodney Rothman, and written by Phil Lord and Rodney Rothman. The film went on to make $375 million worldwide, which is about 4 times what it cost. Not bad.
4 times what it cost. Sorry, just moving. Box office numbers are ridiculous to me. Sorry.
Yep, not bad. Could have been better, but not bad. This movie includes the cast work of Chris Pine, Catherine Kahn, Kimiko Glenn, John Mulaney, Zoe Kravitz, Luna Lauren Velez, Lily Tomlin, Brian Tyree Henry. God, guys, I have 2 names. 3 names is too much. Mahershala Ali, love that man. Haley Steinfeld, Jake Johnson, Shamik Moore, and you didn't see us coming, but that's right. It's a secret Rage in the Cage. Nick Cage is back, baby. Boom.
I was so mad and ecstatic as soon as I heard Spider-Man Noir. I was just like, what? Who the hell let Nick Cage on set?
You can't keep him down. He's always there. He's ready to pounce. This movie, it was fine. It won some awards, so we'll just list a couple here. It did win Best Animated Feature from a few things. You might have heard of stuff like the Academy Awards, Golden Globes, the BAFTA Film Awards, the Sci-Fi Academy of Fantasy and Horror, the African American, I can't spell shit, the African American Film Critics Association, the Alliance of Women Film Journalists, the American Cinema Editors, and the Annie Awards.
I don't know. I haven't heard any of these organizations.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Who the fuck is the Academy Awards? Who do they think they are? Something special? And that's just the Best Animated Feature, Best Animated Feature Award. They've also won several other awards, including Character Design, Choice Awards, Voice Work, and more. A lot of praise for this film. A lot of praise. Ryan, I think you have some fun facts for us, don't you?
I do. I have a couple of fun facts for you. Shortly after Stan Lee's passing at the tender age of 95, God rest him, it was announced that this voice acting role would be his last performance. Lord and Miller felt it was important to make this cameo a bigger moment compared to other previous Marvel films because he was integral to the spirit of the movie and considered his role extra meaningful following his death. Since I've heard, I'm pretty sure that Stan Lee has quoted Spider-Man as his favorite, yes?
I think that is definitely among his favorites, if not his favorite, yeah.
Yeah.
He puts a lot of effort into being there for him when he can.
Now, next up, every part of this movie runs at 24 frames per second. This is a common frame rate for animated films, except for Miles, who is at 12 frames per second for most of the film, showing his inexperience as Spider-Man. As the film continues, Miles gradually speeds up to the average of 24 FPS, and it is reported that Gwen was animated to be a much smoother 60 frames per second, baby, to better emphasize her grace and skill when compared to both Peter and Miles. That's some subtle shit. I love that. I 100% love that. And I know that you as an editor probably caught on to that much quicker, because that's subtle for me, but it makes sense.
It's one of the reasons why this movie is ranked so high for me.
Yeah.
it's this breaking rules of animation, and it's just the subtlety of what they do to really emphasize the difference in characters that really just like, give them all the money. They deserve it.
Nice. Now, next up, Nick Cage. Seriously, who the fuck let this dude on set? I love him. Nick Cage was excited that the directors let him have fun with the role of Spider-Man Noir. Cage says, "It's no secret that I like to play with different sources. It was fun to go back in time and pull back a little of that Humphrey Bogart essence, intending for the movie to appeal to both adults who like the old movies and kids who will want to learn more about them." Love it. Give me more Spider-Man Noir. Please, pretty please. I need that guy.
I want a Gwen spinoff first, but I demand a Spider-Man Noir not long after.
And finally, Brian Michael Bendis, who created the comic book version of Miles Morales, credits 3 things that inspired to make Miles African American: his 2 adopted black children, Barack Obama becoming president, and Donald Glover wearing Spider-Man pajamas on an episode of the TV show Community.
I mean, they're all good reasons, but that last one really gets me.
Oh yes. I mean, we had Donald Glover voicing Miles Morales in the animated series, yes?
I think so, and he also plays Uncle Aaron in the Homecoming.
He plays Uncle
MCU
Aaron in
films.
Homecoming, yeah. So,
yeah. Shout out to Brian Michael Bendis for making a character that actually withstood the blowback from the initial printing. I know there was a lot of fan feedback or blowback just because of the whole race changing thing they did, and being able to make this character really stand out and last the way all the way to getting a fucking movie, like that's impressive shit. That's good.
But here's the difference: he didn't just turn around and make Peter Parker black.
No, I get that. I get that.
And that's what I love about it. You're passing on the mantle, and the new Spider-Man can be something different and bring something new and interesting to the role. But it just changed like a whole bunch of things and just give a person's name away. I'm sorry, that's a whole other thing.
No, I hear you. I'm just saying, like, when they first did that, along with a few other different changes they made over at Marvel, there was definitely a knee-jerk reaction, so to speak, from the hardcore fans who have been in it for a while.
Yeah, 100%. You're always gonna have blowback when you try to do some more diversity. I just think that Miles Morales is absolutely a shining example of how to do it right.
Now, I don't know comics well enough, and I wish Chaz was here to tell me. was Spider-Man, was Miles Morales in the Marvel universe before or after they introduced X-23? I'm trying to think of which one was the first, like, different, like, version of the main character. Like, she's the female version of Wolverine, obviously, and he's the African-American version of Spider-Man, but I'm trying to figure out which one, like, got dropped in the Marvel universe first.
So, if I recall, and again, I'm no comic book historian, but I'm pretty sure X-23 came in first, but she didn't become the Wolverine until after they had already introduced Miles Morales as Spider-Man.
That's fair. That's fair.
She was one of the Weapon X projects, from that created Logan and like a bunch of other people, but she didn't She eventually became a part of the X-Men, and then eventually took up the mantle of Wolverine, and that happened. Yeah, that happened a while after Miles Morales, because Miles was really like the first. He was one of the first iterations of like passing on like the mantle to different people.
Yep. I think how they do them differently. I know we're getting off tangent here, but the way they do those two differently really emphasizes just how good Marvel is at getting these things going. Like, from what I understand, Miles is kind of like suddenly he's there, and they have to like do some backpedaling to explain how he got there. Where if I remember correctly, and then with X-23, they kind of built her up to eventually become the next Wolverine. So two very different approaches, but it's interesting they both worked pretty well in the long term.
Yes, I strongly agree. I think X-23 and Laura, it's definitely a whole thing, but I think they did it very well, and I think both X-23 and Miles are a shining example of how you like pass on the mantle properly.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read enough of Laura's spin on Wolverine to really have a good grasp of it, but I thought if they were going to pass it on to anybody, having it passed on to this badass character that they've already established and like made her own separate thing was a way to do it as well, because it wasn't just like, oh, and here's this new person who's also a Weapon X project, and that's it.
You hear that, Feige? We want little girl Laura to be the next Wolverine. Don't just throw Tom Hardy in there, but give us something cool.
Yo, if they hint that we're gonna get mutants and we're gonna get the Wolverine, and then like it shows up and it's actually Laura, I will lose my fucking mind.
It'll be pretty cool. We should probably get back to this movie though.
Yeah, probably. Sorry.
Initial thoughts. No hiding it. I fucking love this movie. Even on a technical animation level, it is absolutely best in its class. Everyone who can appreciate animation, there we go, will enjoy this to a good extent.
Yes. Wholeheartedly agree. This is fantastic. This is, I'm going to be super controversial. This is my favorite Spider-Man origin. Like, honestly, this movie does the origin of Miles Morales in such a fantastic way. For me, it feels like canon, and it hits so many real notes, not just about being a superhero, but also about growing up and having expectations placed on you and the frustration of not being able to live up to those and coming to peace with who you're going to be and the person you want to become. This movie does a lot of shit great. We're going to talk about it. I loved it. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Without further ado, let's get to a quick synopsis here. We're going to skip all the fun introductions because we'd be here all day and just jump straight to Miles Morales. A smart, fun young man who refuses to buy a new pair of slip-on shoes. Failing to understand puberty, he gained spider powers while vandalizing a wall with his Uncle Aaron. Not from the vandalizing, but from a weird, glitchy spider thing. He quickly realizes his powers are similar to Spider-Man and seeks out the Spider to confirm. Doing so pulls him into a conflict with the current Spider-Man and the Green Goblin. Not Willem Dafoe. Battling in a weird machine that fires dubstep beams. Spider-Man is killed, but gives Peter the MacGuffin to shut down the dubstep machine. Miles has to run because one of Kingpin's goons comes after him. He manages to escape but returns home afraid and confused. News reports of Spider-Man's demise are then released, along with his identity. Peter Parker, not Miles. Emotional beats are hit hard when MJ and Aunt May speak publicly at his funeral, and Stanley's final cameo, it just kind of nails it. When alone, Miles tries to talk to Peter's grave, only to be visited by Peter, alive and well, and also a little fatter than before. Shenanigans happen, and we find out that this is a different Peter from another universe. Miles hands him the MacGuffin, now broken from his previous chase. Peter says they need a new device, he calls it a goober, to shut down the machine and return to his dimension. They break into a lab where they have to deal with the Doc Ock of this universe with a fun little twist. The two nearly lose their key when a third spider person arrives. That's right, this is Spider-Gwen.
The best spider.
It pretty close, yeah, or if not the best. The three realize they need help and venture to Aunt May for some of Peter's old tech. They arrive and they are met by, 3 more spider people. A plan is devised to train Miles so he can shut down the machine as they return home, but he fails to live up to their expectations and he tries to run away. He seeks out his uncle, who happens to also be one of Kingpin's thugs. Oh my god! Realizing he doesn't know who to trust, he returns to Peter and Gwen for help. But Doc Ock and Kingpin locate the MacGuber, and fighting happens. Uncle Aaron is killed, and Uncle Aaron's killed, and Miles is hit hard by life lessons here. Uncle Aaron's hit hard by a bullet. He is abandoned by the Spider team, who decides to proceed without him. Peter agrees to stay in this universe and die due to his body's instability, so the others can escape. Miles doesn't want to sit this one out, and pushes himself harder, believing in what he can do. He breaks out of his bondage, tags up a new suit, and joins the fight just in time for the dubstep lasers. He helps all his spider friends go home, and is forced to fight Kingpin solo. It's a struggle, but his encouragement from his father gives Miles the drive he needs to come out on top. New York now has a new Spider-Man, and the other Spider people reach out to him as the credits begin to roll.
And the credits are these are probably the best credits I've ever seen. Holy shit.
I will say they give Guardians of the Galaxy 2 a run for their money. The post-credits is pretty fun, too. With Spider-Man 2099, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Also, we're not far from 2099. We only have 79 more years, guys. So let's get technology rolling. Let's make science better, and we can maybe get there.
Who knows? Even my children might wear the mask one day. Or my grandchildren. Yeah, probably my grandchildren.
Oh, my kids won't. They'll have anxiety. They won't even bother with it. They'll be like, man, fuck this noise. So, Ryan, let's not mince words here. We love this movie, right?
This is a fantastic fucking movie, guy. Fan-fucking-tastic. It almost made me cry at work today.
Wow, that sounds like it hit hard. Man, where do we want to start with this one?
Oh man, I mean, we could just go through the discussion questions because I'm gonna have 80,000 things to say about everything.
All right. If for some reason I come across something or don't come across something you have that you want to bring up, feel free to interject.
100. Yeah.
Let's start with the first and simplest thing: music for this movie.
Oh god, the soundtrack.
So I don't think I've heard a soundtrack this on point for its characters and its cast since maybe Black Panther. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They went out of their way to give it a very, not to sound a certain way, but they definitely went for that street urban graffiti style vibe with this music. They really went for that kind of stuff, and all of it fits the art style and tone super well. Yeah,
it feels authentic to the setting and the characters that it's underscoring. It's perfectly done, honestly. What's Up Danger is gonna be my theme song whenever I need to do something just ridiculous. I need that energy to jump off a building and just become Spider-Man in a leap of faith. Every time every now and again I have to just watch that scene where he really takes up the mantle, and 50% of the reason is just because the song is a fucking banger. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I also like the constant references to the song that he just jams out to. It's pretty funny.
How do you relax? Like, God damn it, Miles.
Amanda was watching with me, and she looks up, she's like, seriously, what the fuck?
Was this the first time Amanda saw it?
Yeah.
Hey!
And it seemed like she was really into it. I don't think she's into the animated stuff as much as I am, obviously. Like, I think she, it's not her thing, but I think she appreciated it far more than the Amazing Spider-Man films. Let's not mince words.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when we get to the end of both Amazing Spider-Man films, each time she's like, this is fucking stupid. So, it's a far step up from that. Okay, so music, got that out of the way. Animation. This is where I'm going to be gushing for an hour. So, Ryan, you start. You start.
I mean, so I'm not as technically versed in the stuff as you, but I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was so different and so smooth. It was so professionally well done, and it really captured the essence of reading a comic book. It felt like I was reading a very high quality, fast moving comic book. To the point where, and I thought it was a really subtle thing to have so many different contrasting color schemes be for the various universes and the various Spider-Men that they're from. I thought it was really, really interesting to have Miles's inner thoughts start popping up like comic book panels once his powers started kicking in. And he's like, why are my thoughts so loud? And they're clever. Just like, really, they're actually being written on the screen now because these are his powers, and they solidify into the Spidey sense with just a very silent look out before the truck like runs into the wall. This movie does so many wonderful things with the animation that I can't even speak to them all, but the biggest compliment I can give is that it felt like I was inside a comic book. And that's hard to do when you're talking about incorporating like 6 comic books with different styles all into one movie and switching seamlessly in between them to show like the shifting between realities. Mm-hmm. It's fucking fantastic.
So I'll weigh in here because this will be a minute. So starting off, the different frame rates for the three leads. I guess the lead, the female lead, and then the rest of the world. That's a good way to put it. That is a subtle, beautiful, simple way to do it. And I don't know who came up with the idea, but it's just a really well thought out idea. And I guess it kind of breaks the rules of animation a little bit to do things that way, but I guess when you have the time, the talent, and the budget to do so, fuck yeah, man, break rules. Do something fucking unique, because it will stand out, and it will show just how much care and polish you put into that shit. Like, I can't think of any other animated feature I've watched that has put that level of effort into just animating the characters differently to show, like, their skill and mastery over their movement and abilities. Like, that's some top-notch shit right there.
That's really subtle.
And that's on top of you're animating 3 other characters in different styles, with one being like this black and white noir style, one being a full-on anime, and then one being fucking Looney Tunes. All in the same movie.
They had a fucking Looney Tune! Help! Spider-Pig!
And not once did I feel like any of them were out of place. Like, maybe the pig a little bit, but that's more just because it's a talking pig. But the fact that visually, they all just work in the same room, the same space, and none of them felt out of place, I don't know, man. There's just something about that you don't get that very often when you're mixing this much stuff together, and it works really well. That's on top of the colors. It's on top of the animation bubbles, the thought bubbles you mentioned, which harken back to stuff that I really like Scott Pilgrim, which did similar stuff with the graphical overlays and whatnot. So there's just a lot of very positive things to say here, and I gotta give kudos to this animation team. Like, aside from the Sonic team recently, who just fucking pulled it out of their ass to fix a fucking cartoon animal, you guys did a whole movie this good, and I wish you guys got more money for this one. This deserved so much more money than what it got. Jesus Christ.
It really did. That'll probably be one of your later questions, but I do not understand how this movie didn't just fucking dominate at the box office.
Well, okay, so it came out in 2018, so this is the same year as Last Jedi, And I think it came out around the same... Like, it came out in December as well. So, it's already in a tough market when it comes to what else is going to be out there. And I hate saying this. I really do. But animated movies do not sell nearly as well as live-action movies. Or at least they don't get marketed as well as live-action movies.
Yeah.
Unless you're Disney, because that's your bread and butter. And that burns me a lot, because here's the thing. Animated movies, Ryan, and you can argue with me if you want. Animated movies, to me, can be just as good or better than live-action films.
There will be no argument on that.
We have seen many that have surpassed live-action films we've talked about. Grave of Fireflies alone is one of those. This is another one of those. And I think that, because to me, spoilers for the review at the end of the movie, this might be my favorite Spider-Man movie. But the fact that you can get an animated work to surpass its live-action contemporaries is something that I wish the Academy and that film goers would be more willing to acknowledge and address. Most of the time when I talk to people, they say, "Oh, animation is not important," blah blah blah. Most of them come down to the fact that it's not real, it doesn't feel real, and therefore they don't have an investment in it. It's like, that's not the point though, because when you watch a live-action movie, what they're doing isn't real. What they're performing isn't real either. You were literally not changing anything other than the fact that it is a real physical person there. But the stunts they're doing, the green screen they're in front of, all that's still fake. So I fail to see how animation is any less relevant or important to live action. If anything, it's more important because, to me, you can do so much more with animation with far less, with far less risk to your actors, to your budget, all that stuff. So, I don't know. To me, I will always hold animation as a more, I guess not more important, but an equal importance to live action, with the ability to surpass it when you have the right team and talent behind it.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with everything that you just said. Because voice acting is a much different skill than acting in front of the camera. It's definitely a challenge to be able to sync to what's happening on the screen. But you then need a team, a big-ass team of talented artists to be able to pull off something even half this good. So how they were able to pull this off is beyond me. This animation team needs about 80 times the money that they got so that they can continue to put out more things. I honestly hope we see more animated films of this caliber coming out. Because if Sony corners this market, then holy shit.
Pixar, you better be shaking those fucking cowboy boots. Just saying. Speaking of voice work, Ryan, were there any standouts in the voice work of this film to you?
I mean, do I lose points if I just say Miles? Because honestly, I loved his portrayal of an unsure teenager. It was spot on, and just the sheer emotion that he was able to portray in his voice. I mean, even in the quietest, the most quiet moments, like when he's being held by the Prowler and he lifts up his mask to show that it's him, and he's like, "Oh my God." And you can barely hear him where he's like, "Please, Uncle Aaron, please." And it's just you can tell he's he's choked up, not just physically, but also emotionally, because he knows this is his uncle. There are so many subtle nuances to the voice acting in this. This comes from really everybody, but particularly, I want to say, from Miles, and from the range that we get from Peter B. Parker.
Oh,
so
yeah,
those are my two standouts.
Peter B. is pretty fun.
Yeah, Peter B. is fantastic.
Can I just say Peter... No, actually, we'll get to that in a minute. Peter B., I got a question for him in a minute. So
Okay.
Okay. So, was the cameo fitting for Stan Lee's final performance?
I really liked it. It emphasizing that anyone can wear the mask, anyone can be a hero. And when he says, "Can I return it if it fits?" and he says the mask always fits eventually. It's just eventually we all can become these superheroes. We just have to believe and keep working at it.
God, that is such a fucking gut punch.
That's nonsense. That's nonsensical. I love it. The fact that this is his last performance, that this is his last cameo, really hit me in the feels. So yes, this is definitely fitting.
And yes, I know he shows up in 2019's Endgame, but I think this is the last performed one. This is the last one they recorded. So just for anyone who's going to argue with us out there, I'm pretty sure that's how they meant it. So yeah, no, this is one of my favorites cameos. I don't think it beats, for me, the one from X-Men Apocalypse, but that one isn't a bad movie, so it's kind of hard to recommend watching that movie just for that cameo. This might be my second favorite, or definitely top 1 or 2 for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Miles is one of the first attempts. I think we discussed this a little bit about him his diversifying the roster, and obviously it's successful. He's gotten to the point where he's in a film. Yeah, so I don't think we need to really jump to that one unless there's any specific things you want to bring up about that.
No, I mean, I just there's not too much I can say about it other than to shit talk the other way, the ways that other properties do it. But this in particular, I love the way that they handed it off. I love that they managed to create a very effective, very compelling origin story while also respecting the original, like the original hero, because Peter Parker was the golden child. He was like, nobody can question the greatness that was Peter Parker, and his death was tragic. But you also have now this new kid who just got these powers and is literally thrown into the deep end, having to save the multiverse, and while also just figuring out who he wants to be and living up to the massive expectation of trying to be Spider-Man. Through subtle storytelling techniques, it's a huge metaphor for this new kid having to take on such a larger than life mantle. But he, by relaxing, by focusing, and by really just owning that he will be different and he will make his own path, he lives up to the great expectations that are placed on him, and he takes up the mantle really, really well. Mm-hmm. This is a great way to do a handoff. This is it. Mm-hmm. You don't besmirch the name of your other hero and then pass it on to a woman. I mean, sorry. I love the way that they did this. I absolutely love the way they did this. So yes.
Let's see what else. I'm trying to think what else I can add to that, but yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Let's see. Going on from that, in Peter's origin, we get the phrase, "With great power comes great responsibility." It ties to his entire being and his entire existence from that point on. If that's the moral lesson we take from Peter, the whole great responsibility, what moral lesson do we take from Miles' journey? And how can we apply that to our day-to-day lives?
That's a really good question. I want to say the thesis of this movie is around great expectations and feeling like you can't live up to the shoes that you're supposed to fill. I'm having a hard time putting that into a one-sentence blurb.
Well, okay. So, my theory is it follows what Peter tells Miles at the end of the second act. Namely, after he's tied up, he's like, "When will I be ready to live up to these expectations, to take these powers, to fill in the mantle, basically?" And it's simply responded with, "You don't know, Miles. It's just a leap of faith." And I think that's kind of what the moral lesson behind Miles' journey is. He's a kid who's unsure of himself. He's constantly tripping over himself, and he is lacking in that self-confidence. He's lacking in the belief in his own abilities. And I think that's what the moral lesson is from this film, and maybe from Miles' character as a whole. It's not so much that you have to live up to the expectations. You have to live up to your own expectations. And you have to be willing to step up and make that bold attempt to do it, regardless of whether you're going to fail or not.
I can definitely lean into that. I can definitely see where you're coming from there. To me, Miles starts to step into his own once he, how do I put it? I feel like Miles goes through the entirety of the movie constantly aware of the shit that he has to carry, constantly aware of the big shoes he has to fill, of the promises that he has to keep, of the expectations that everybody's placed on him. But it's not really until he has that talk with, or at least his dad talks at him, saying that he sees this greatness in him, but he knows that his path will be his own, and that whatever he decides to do with it, he's going to be great. And that's when everything starts to click for him, with his mom saying we don't run from things, or that his uncle saying like you're on your way, like you're actually on your way, like regardless of how like fucked up you feel or how anxious you are on the path. Just keep going until it coalesces with him, just with all of those worries kind of fading to black, and him just relaxing and taking up the challenge. It's like it's almost saying stop thinking about what could go wrong and just do it. Just leap. It is a leap of faith at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. But I thought that came together in that talk so well when he just was able to start using his powers on command because of the faith that his father had in him, saying whatever you decide to do, you're going to be wonderful. Just stop thinking of all of the expectations on you and do what you are called to do. That's how you live up to them.
The fact there's many interpretations to what this could be is just another testament to how good this movie is.
Oh God, I love it. We could have an hour-long conversation on that one question.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I've got several more, and I don't want to keep people here all night. So, next one I got for you. This version of Doc Ock is a little different from the other ones. Spoilers.
Definitely.
Spoilers, it's Olivia Octavius, and there's a few different kinks on her that I'm interested in talking about. But, Ryan, what do you think of this take on the character?
I really enjoyed it. I remember the first time I saw this movie, I was not expecting it. It actually hit me by complete surprise.
Dude, I didn't either. It's fucking crazy.
It's this kooky lady scientist with very big hair that I'm just like, this lady's just ridiculous. And she's like, yeah, so it looks like your body's gonna completely deatomize by staying in the wrong universe, and I for one can't wait to watch it. I'm like, wait, what? Oh God, who is this? My name's Olivia Octavius. I'm like, oh shit, oh no. Fantastic. I loved it 100%.
So, what do you make of... This is a side question here. What do you think of the line, oh, my friends call me Liv, and my enemies call me Doc Ock, and then later in the movie, you have Aunt May call her Liv?
Oh, it's Liv. It instantly made Aunt May even more of an interesting character. I'm like, okay, now I need an Aunt May solo movie, because Aunt May is apparently a badass who's on first name terms with Doc Ock. What? Yeah, no, I want that. I want that.
Yeah, there's something there that is intriguing, and I don't want to immediately jump to, oh, they were in a gay relationship, because a lot of people jump to that right away. I think.
Did they?
I've read a lot of people who are like, oh no, that's what they jumped into, and it's an interesting implication. I'm not opposed to it, but I don't think it's my first read of it. I just think there's more to Aunt May in this universe than there's been in any other one. I'm very curious what that'll entails. So I'm with you. I want to see more.
Yeah. I wouldn't jump to that as my first conclusion either, but it's definitely possible.
Oh yeah,
I want to
absolutely.
see more. I want to see more. Yeah.
Well, especially considering in certain incarnations of the comics, Doc Ock does attempt to marry and court Aunt May, so it's not out of the ordinary. So,
God, I love these comics.
okay. Peter B. Parker. Here we go. Do you think Peter B. Parker borrows elements from the Raimi films, considering the failings of Peter and MJ's relationship in that universe? And if so, do you think it works here, and why or why not?
I definitely think this movie being self-referential to the live-action films that came before is a huge plus.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The fact that they worked in the fucking dance as he's walking down the street, and he's like, yeah, we don't talk about that. Anyway, mwah, fucking flawless. I absolutely love it. As far as whether or not Peter and MJ's failing relationship is a carryover from the Raimi films, I don't necessarily see that. But I do see it considering that same vein of a realistic relationship, because like the concept of children and the disagreement on that in a couple is absolutely something that can cause even the most solid relationships to crumble and fall apart. So if you give me a Peter Parker who's been doing this for like
10 years.
20 years or some shit. Like, because I know Peter Parker, the 26-year-old, had been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah, you're right.
But Peter B. Parker had been doing it for longer. He had been doing it for like 20. Like, so if you take a guy that's been Spider-Man for that long and had that weight on the relationship for that long, and then you throw in MJ wanted kids and he was super not ready, that's absolutely something that could cause their relationship to crumble. So I think it's just more in a vein of keeping MJ and Peter as a realistic couple and not just having MJ be the trophy comic book wife/girlfriend, if that makes sense.
I appreciate the realism they bring to that relationship. Like, I get that it's one you want to see succeed. I get it's one that you want to be like, oh, hey, no, they're perfect, and yada, yada, yada. But it's like, not every relationship is perfect. And the best relationships tend to have ups and downs. And I appreciate just that they don't patronize. It's like, hey, you know what? They didn't work out right away. They'll figure it out. If they're meant to be, they'll figure it out. And, yeah, just I don't know, it all works for me that way. I like it.
It really did.
Yeah.
It really did. Side note, the fact that Peter B. and Miles' relationship like gradually evolves and grows, and when he finally sees when like in the final battle when Miles shows up in the fucking tagged up Spider-Man suit and he's doing the thing and he's running with all the professional Spider-Men. He's like, I love you, I'm so proud of you. Do I want kids? Oh my god. Wait. I thought that was perfect. That was one of the perfect caps on his relationship, on his character arc. Like, we have that last moment where he's about to drop him and he's like, how would I know if I'm gonna fuck it up with MJ again? And he's like, you don't. It's a leap of faith. Just go do it. That's the perfect ending. But that, oh my god, do I want kids note was mwah, flawless. So yes, in terms of realism in my comic book movie, that absolutely rang true.
It's amazing how much effort they go through in these side characters. Like, I want to see all of them come back. I really do. Peter B. Parker, I want to see his story finish. I want to see Spider-Gwen. I want to see Spider-Man Noir. We'll get to those in a minute, though. I have another question here that interests me. Mm-hmm. Ryan, in the movie, it's a fourth wall check here. Miles learns about having spider powers through a comic book of Spider-Man. A comic book which, mind you, does show Peter Parker as Spider-Man. How does this comic exist in a world with Spider-Man having a secret identity? And how can he keep it a secret when this comic book outright tells us who he is?
Okay, so I didn't catch that, but here's where my mind reconciles it. I don't think the comic book directly refers to Peter Parker. I think like there are definitely comics about Spider-Man, but I don't think the comic book in the movie actively refers to Spider-Man's identity as being Peter Parker. I think that actual identity is revealed once he dies.
Well, no, I know it was revealed after he dies, but I'm looking at it as like a fourth wall thing. Like, how can this comic exist and be exactly like what we have and not reveal who he is to everybody? Like, how's he get away with this?
Yeah, I feel that. And I definitely appreciate that they weren't because they actually do shove the comic book in his face, but it's done for like 3 seconds just for him to catch on and be like, these are spider-based powers. Hey, by the way, these are spider-based powers. Perfect. That's all you needed it for. But the concept of a comic book revolving around this kid developing spider powers and becoming who they all know as Spider-Man, I think that makes sense. If Spider-Man has been around for 10 years and like we have comic book artists just making stories about him, I could see that happening. They won't know he's Peter Parker, but they'll probably create this random insert normal person here who becomes Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. It's just one of those little things that I notice that stick out. It's like a cinema sins kind of thing because it's the same. Yeah, it's the same.
That's a cinema sin. It's a small sin, but that's a cinema sin.
Yeah. Let's see. We discussed about the movie's profits, which we both agree it should have been more, and all that. So, 2 questions left here. Favorite Spider-Person and why? And do you want to see a spinoff of their adventures?
God, Spider-Gwen is so fucking cool. She's just so cool.
Just the outfit alone is fucking baller.
Like when the concept of Spider-Gwen was broached in comics, and I saw the white and pink and black with the built-in hoodie, I was like, this is the coolest looking Spider-Person I have ever goddamn seen. Like, this is a bomb-ass design, guys. Well, I love this.
And I like it because it reminds me of, so I latched on to her quicker than I latched on to Miles. And I think the reason I did is because it reminds me of the Flashpoint version of Batman, where you just rearrange how the characters become who they are. So instead of Batman, instead of Bruce becoming Batman, it's Thomas. Instead of some random schmuck becoming Joker, it's Mrs. Wayne. I forget, Martha. That's what it is, Martha. How could I forget? In this version, you just flip flop Peter with. Well, I guess you don't flip flop because Peter becomes Lizard and Gwen becomes Spider-Woman. And just,
does Peter become the Lizard?
Yeah, it's implied. It's implied in her origin when she talks about it. She's like she had to kill her. She had to kill her best friend, and it was Peter who had become Lizard.
Shit, I was unaware. I thought Peter had just died, like Gwen had died. I didn't know he actually became the Lizard. That's really. I gotta read the Spider-Gwen comics.
Yep.
Goddamn.
Yep. So just the rearranging of the pieces can make for a very interesting story. And that's why I really appreciate the simple change made something so different, and it's just so cool. On top of just how she looks and just the fact that she's just a very interesting character. No, I'm super down for her to get more spin-offs. That'd be great.
Absolutely. I mean, when you consider Peter and Gwen went to the same high school, they were both science prodigies. They were amazingly smart and brilliant people. So it's just like, what if Gwen got bit? Everything changes, but Gwen is a really awesome character. And so, yeah, exactly right. I will say that I latched on to Gwen quicker than Miles, but that's because Gwen is an established Spider-Person. She shows up as no, I am Master Spider-Person. I have Master Spider-Person abilities. But your prime attachment becomes Miles because you see him struggle.
Oh, yeah.
The entire movie. And then the moment where everything just settles and he fucking sails through the city in a fucking jacket and the all black and red, and he's got the invisibility, and oh god, I love him so much. He's my son. He is my son. I'm so proud of him.
And then I don't think we even need to bother asking, but I have to. Sequel. Does it need to happen?
Yes. there better be a fuck sequel. Absolutely. We've already alluded to it with the portal opening up and Gwen saying like, "Hey Miles, do you got a minute? Come over here for a second." And then we've got the after credits with Spider-Man 2099. Yes.
So,
if something horrible happens that stops this sequel, I'll eat my hat because that's horrible. That's I have to buy a hat first and then I'll eat it because I need this sequel in my life.
Mm-hmm.
They would be fools not to after all of the acclaim that this movie got.
I say if Sony does not greenlight a sequel, we all storm Sony. They can't stop all of us.
I'm down.
But
I didn't storm Area 51, but I will storm Sony.
We will all wear Spider-Man masks, we will do a Naruto run, and we will run at this fucking place and get that sequel.
For logistics, please email us at Storm Sony. I mean at evacstation@gmail.com.
Clever. Ryan, what do you want to see in a sequel, though? Like, so, obviously more Spider People, or different Spider People, but what do you want to see most in the sequel outside of that?
Oh, God. I would like to see the story focus on a new dimension that we haven't explored just yet. Because we've got Miles coming into his own in his universe, and that's fantastic. So let's have Miles be brought to another dimension to help somebody else out. We can still have the focus be on his development as Spider-Man because he's really coming into his own and keeping up with the rest of them. But I want to see like the main story be based on another universe because it'll open us up to more interesting twists on the Spider-Man mythos and the various ways things can go. My absolute dream is evil Matt Murdock as the villain.
Evil Matt Murdock. What universe would that be in, or is that just something you've read before?
It's one of the alternate Spider-Man universes where Matt Murdock actually is like known as Daredevil, and he's like a criminal kingpin, and he just fucking runs the game. I want that so bad. That would be such a cool alternate villain because it's a hero.
So I want to see a couple different things. One, I kind of want to see, and it's more of a cameo thing personally, but I think it'd be kind of cute to bring in Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire as just a cameo Spider-Man appearances, just for a minute.
Oh yes. Yeah.
But on top of that too, I want to see the Man Spider, the mutation of Spider-Man turning into this giant spider monster thing. I think it'd be interesting to bring in different Spider-Men to see if they can help resolve this issue, and have multiple of them suffering this issue. It's like, okay, we need to bring whoever we can in to fix this, and I don't know what villain you tie into it, but I want that to be kind of like the crisis everyone's facing personally. Like that'd be an interesting way to see thing to deal with.
I'm down for that. I'm definitely down for that.
Granted, I am a bit biased because I like giant monster things, and I also like seeing these weird stories that don't get used very often. So I'm down for it for sure.
Yeah, Man Spider would be real interesting. I'd be down for that. And if you use the same production company that gives us like the crazy iteration of the Man Spider, then I'm down. I'm 100% down for that.
Mm-hmm. If you want to submit your ideas for a Into the Spider-Verse sequel, you know where to hit us up. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, and Ryan already said it again, but Ryan, because people have such a short memory, why don't you remind them one more time?
That is, hey, excuse me, that is evacstation@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. You can also you'll also read these comments out loud over the air during our Wazcast podcast, where we talk about upcoming events, previous events, how we're doing, and of course listener emails, because we just want to hear back from you guys. It's so great. And of course, if you tune in, you can also get exclusive episodes. This month should have been Amazing Spider-Man 2. Why am I even questioning? Of course it was. Next month will be Kill Bill Volume 2, because ladies of film, it's coming.
Hey.
Yeah. So yeah, Ryan, with that, why don't we go ahead and jump into the final segment of our film podcast, which is we're ranking the movie from platinum to shit and all the colors in between. Ryan, where on earth would you rank this movie?
This is obviously a shit tier movie. I mean, why would it? That's why it only made twice as much money as it cost to make it, because it was so bad. I'm lying. This is a fucking platinum, guys. The animation was on fucking point and so subtly done. The origin story in and of itself was really touching, not only about being Spider-Man and the sheer weight of the mantle, but also just living up to everybody's expectations, which is a normal thing coming up as a kid, especially when you're praised and looked at as this really special kid. Everybody expects a lot of stuff from you. This movie manages to turn that into an amazingly compelling origin story. And if you go along with the ride, you feel so fucking proud of this kid at the end. The music's on point. Everything about this is on point. The only gripe I have with it is that people didn't pay to go see it in theaters for some fucking reason. That's the only thing wrong with the movie. That nobody else gave money to it. Okay. Good job, guys. No, platinum. 100%.
Well, Ryan, I am going to have to say that this movie fails my expectations, and I'm going to give it a bronze.
A bronze.
No. If it wasn't obvious in the beginning, favorite Spider-Man movie of the whole bunch. So far. I have to rewatch Far From Home, and Venom could always surprise me. I don't think it will, but it could surprise me. No, this is for sure my platinum for the season, because it exemplifies the best of animation, I think. It exemplifies one of the best Spider-Man stories, period. And it arguably is one of the best superhero films out there. And comic book movies. It does everything right it needs to. And it's a damn shame that y'all didn't see it when it came out. But y'all didn't see King of the Monsters when it came out either. And fuck, well, we'll get a sequel to that. So obviously this deserves a sequel too. So...
not salty at all.
I'm not at all salty. I'm not at all salty. Y'all will fucking pay good money to see Sonic the Hedgehog, but you won't see this.
Well, Sonic was good. Now, people will pay good money to see fucking episode 9, but that's not there.
Yeah. Tune in next time when we reveal that Miles Morales is actually a clone. See, the funny thing about that, Ryan, is there's already a bunch of clone bullshit in Spider-Man, and no one likes any of it.
Sir, please.
So, let's see. Next week, we'll be returning to the MCU for the final episode of Phase 3, which was Spider-Man Far From Home. Got that one a little late, but we're getting there. And then we'll wrap up the season with Venom, because that seems like a fitting end to a season.
Yep, it is an end.
Yep. So, thank you for listening. Platinum's all around for this one. Good work, guys. Spider-Verse, top notch. We'll see you after the credits.
Bye.
Spider-Man, up next on the podcast line. Peter's out after 3, then gets rebooted by Sony. Look out, another Spider-Man. Leave a like, hit subscribe, if you can dig on the spot. Can you donate to our sub? $1 would be enough. And thus, it's the after credits cast.